Hey everyone, welcome to Team X&D's podcast. Today we have a special guest, Robin Bone. Robin is a Team Canada track and field athlete, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's start with the first question. Also, sorry, we gotta introduce Andrew Negebauer, one of the owners of X&D. Also,
hello everyone.
A former track athlete himself. Andrew, what event did you run?
The half mile, 800 meters, 2 laps around the track.
Grueling.
Why would you do that on
It's a
purpose?
controlled sprint.
Why would you do that?
It's the perfect mix of like speed and endurance and pain and all wrapped into one.
Anxiety.
I agree.
What was your fastest time?
1:46.
Damn, that's fast.
Lightning.
All right, back to Robin. Robin, thanks for joining us. So you're a pole vaulter.
Yes, I am.
How did you get into pole vaulting?
I got into pole vaulting early in high school. In 9th grade was the first year I did it, and I was an elite gymnast, so I trained quite a bit. And when I stopped gymnastics, I found myself trying out for track and field, and the track coach had heard that I was a competitive gymnast, and he asked if I would be their pole vaulter so I could help earn points at state championships.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you said elite gymnast.
Mm-hmm.
What made you stop doing gymnastics?
So when I was a competitive gymnast, I had always dreamed of being an elite gymnast and, of course, competing at the Olympics. But it was more than that. I just really enjoyed it, and I really loved training and always striving for something more. And when I was in 9th grade, I had a very bad concussion, which unfortunately had me missing quite a bit of school. And it took a really long time to be able to get back to my normal self. And it was really tough because I had so many people surrounding me who were telling me, yes, you look fine. But I just always seemed like I was in a daze, or Robin really wasn't there. And once everything came back, I thought I'd be okay to return to gymnastics. And my concussion doctor at the time essentially said it wasn't safe for me to return just due to the danger that was associated with tumbling and potentially hitting my head again. So I tried out for track and field, and I also played lacrosse in my freshman year of high school, but I tried out for track and field thinking, okay, I knew I was fast. I had played football growing up, so I knew that I used to carry the ball, and I knew that I couldn't get beat often, so I thought that I would do track and field, maybe run the 100. And so I started by doing the 100 and hurdles and long jump, and then I saw pole vault, and I immediately knew that I wanted to do that. And so that's how I kind of got into it, and I ended up not sprinting, and I hurdled, and I did pole vault, long jump, and triple jump, and occasionally I did a relay. So
Wow.
I got into
football.
Yes.
Touch on that.
Yes.
At what age did you play football?
So I played football growing up with my brother and my dad. My dad played pro, and he coached college football, and my brother played quarterback. So I always was tagging along with them. And then when I was in 4th grade, I started playing football. And actually, it's crazy. When I went to the tryout, they originally said girls couldn't play in the league. And my dad told this lady off and said I was going to play, and I ended up being first pick. But I was also this super strong little gymnast, and I haven't really grown much since 5th grade, so I was pretty big. I was that kid in the back of the when you do chorus recitals with your family in elementary school, I was like the top of the back. I was the pyramid. I was the top of the tallest girl in the class. So I haven't really grown much, but yeah, so I just knew a lot at that age. And I remember actually once my dad, he says that he didn't know what to do, but we were playing, and they had a rule that girls actually couldn't carry the ball, and so I played defense. I kind of would switch between a safety and a linebacker, but I remember I was playing on offense too, and I set up a block for this running back on my team, and I remember I really came at this kid hard, and he fell down. He fell on he went flat on his back, and there was a father on the sideline like, get that girl out of here. And my dad said, he's like, oh, but he said secretly he was really proud.
We're talking
really proud.
Full pads here.
Yeah, so my first year playing, I played flag, and then, I kind of progressed, but once you're in it's really hard to keep up with the boys of once they start to get bigger, unless you're playing, you're a punter or a kicker or something like that. So I just played kill the carrier with my brother and his friends, and kind of just always grew up around the football scene. But
so with when you started track and field, and you were like, oh, I'm gonna pole vault.
Mm-hmm.
Were you concerned about, since you had concussed before, like getting another concussion?
I think, to be honest with you, no, because when I first started, I was barely making the mat. The pole wasn't bending. I was jumping maybe 5.5 feet, which, to give the people who don't know anything about track and field, people high jump that easily in high school. So I wasn't really concerned. I wasn't flying through the air. I had really no idea what I was doing. I learned a lot from YouTube and stuff, but my school, we had maybe 2 poles that I used. And I think that when I presented the idea to my parents, because I knew they were coming to this track meet, they always came to everything that my brother and I did growing up. I knew they were going to see me, and I knew they were going to see me do this pole vault thing, so I had to come clean with them, and we met with my concussion doctor, and that's when he said that if I was to pole vault, I would have to wear a helmet. So I still wear the helmet, but at the time, I just remember not caring at all, thinking if that's what I need to do, that's what I need to do. I've never really been one to worry too much about what other people thought about me, and fortunately, that's what's allowed me to wear the helmet and get to where I have today.
So did you see Stacy Dragila wear a helmet and you thought that'd be a good idea, or were you inspired by her at all, or did you just kind of...
Stacy Dragila didn't wear a helmet.
Oh, my bad. Who was the first?
But Stacy Dragila was coached by my coach, Greg Hall.
There was another... Oh, is
Toby.
Toby Stevenson.
Mm-hmm. I actually had not seen him, and his helmet was kind of like an old hockey helmet.
Because he was Crash. Crash was his nickname.
Yeah,
right?
it didn't have a mask on it, but yeah, he wore a hockey helmet.
That's awesome.
It was
Toby
this black
Crash
one.
Stevenson.
Yeah, I think he coaches now in Washington somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the helmet's kind of like your staple.
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel weird wearing a helmet while you're pole vaulting, or is it something that you've used so long it's...
Yeah, it's almost like an appendage. It's attached to me pretty much. I don't really notice it. If I pick up a pole to do a drill without wearing it, it almost feels a little bit weird. It's so light. A lot of people think it's heavy, but it's super, super light. And it's narrow on the side, so I have enough room to keep my arms close to my ears and execute a proper plant. So it doesn't hinder me in any way. And if anything, I have these little Swarovski crystals and my last name and a Canadian flag on the back, so it's uniquely mine.
So has there been times when you were like, oh, thank God I had my helmet on?
Oh, yeah, so many times. Between having the crossbar fall on my head, and people see the crossbar and they think that it's pretty light. It's really not. It's quite heavy. Yeah. If it falls on your leg or your shin, it's very, very painful, and I've had it fall on my head a couple of times. Knock on wood, I haven't had any incidences with the plant box with my helmet before. I've had a couple spills that, had things gone wrong, my helmet probably would have helped. Unfortunately, in that one, it missed my helmet and knocked my teeth out. But obviously, I repaired my teeth. I'm not walking around like a hockey player from the 80s.
Do you have veneers up front?
I don't have veneers, but these teeth out here, they've all been repaired. I actually picked my teeth up from the track and went to a dentist
and that's from
had them put in.
Top pole falling down?
No, so I was competing in Texas, and I didn't have a coach really in high school at this point. I was in 10th grade, and I came up really short. I kind of did a full backflip and landed on my hands and knees in the plant box, and the pole came up and whacked me in the face. And it wasn't a really cute look for a while. I had my teeth fixed, and it was on Good Friday in Texas, so there was nothing open. And a friend of ours, they were great friends with a trauma dentist, so I went, and he gave me a very short repair and directed me, saying as soon as I get back to Connecticut at the time, I had to get these fixed or they would fall out. And sure enough, on my flight home, I was sleeping, and I woke up and my big tooth had fallen back out in my mouth. So it was really embarrassing for a while, but I knew I could get it fixed, so it wasn't too bad. Actually, at the time, there was a girl who was at the competition, and she was like, don't worry, they're going to fix your teeth. I was a boxer, and I had my teeth knocked out, and she smiled, and her teeth, I had just gotten my braces off too, not long before that. She smiled, and her teeth were all, you could tell she had a lot of fake teeth in there. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if I'll ever get my teeth back, but they're fine, and I haven't had any problems with them since.
That's good.
Yeah. So being a 2020 hopeful, what does training look like for you right now? Or what are your goals right now with the off-season training?
Yeah, so I think for me, one of my biggest downfalls in pole vault is how small I am. I've always been trying to gain muscle and get bigger. Unfortunately, I can't change my size, but what I can work on is my speed and my strength. So right now I've just had a couple of weeks off, and I will be resuming training October 1st, and I'll start to really, really build. And my main thing for this year is I just have to execute the technical changes to get me to where I want to be, and I know that if I do that, I'll be okay.
What's the qualification process in Canada? And when do you have to, do you guys have you have to qualify and then you have trials?
Yes. So essentially the qualification process got really complicated this past year when they changed it. So now the standard is automatic qualifying is 4.70 meters. And other than that, you can also qualify based on the ranking system. So I don't know too much about that. My coach does, but it's important to really the best way to make the team would be to consistently jump high. Right. And then, of course, we have Olympic trials roughly at the same time as USATF does in June, in the last week of June. And there, the best thing to do would be win and hopefully come top 2. And then I believe there is, based on the qualification ranking system, you can qualify if you place top 8 as well. So they can take 3, but it's really up to their discretion to take anybody, I think, if they're not first place. So. Right on. Yeah, it's pretty scary. Yeah. So talk about pressure, right?
That's a lot of pressure. So we talked about training too, but what does your diet look like for your goals, specifically for you? Because you want to, get faster and get stronger. So what does your diet look like?
So I eat in season quite a bit. I have a very fast metabolism. Thanks, Mom. It's great. Hopefully once I'm done training, but during training it's been pretty hard to keep on good weight, just keep on weight in general. But it's focused a lot around plant. I eat a lot of vegetables, and I try and limit fruits to when I need a pick-me-up kind of through the day. I try not to eat fruit too late at night, and a lot of lean protein just to make sure I'm full. I try and eat a little bit more once I'm full. Sometimes that kind of sucks, but you have to do what you want to do. And then I also try and supplement too with the protein, the Xendurance protein. I find that that's really helpful to get a little bit of extra without feeling so tired from eating so much all the time. So sometimes I'll make a chocolate milkshake. Even if it has chocolate ice cream, I'll just add the chocolate protein powder to it. And supplementation for me is really huge as well, just to make sure that I'm getting all the nutrients that I need and all the support that I can get from supplementation outside of all the other kind of prehab things that I do to stay healthy.
Yeah. So for those of you listening, Robin's been a Team X&D athlete for quite a while, but my question for you, what's your favorite product of Xendurance?
Ooh, this
if you
is
had to choose
so,
one,
if I had to choose
and you
one,
can only have one, which one would it be?
Extreme endurance.
Why?
Because I think that it's just so unlike anything else that's offered elsewhere that I rely on it for my preseason because we have a lot of hard workouts, and it really allows me. I did not get an endurance gene. My mom ran marathons. My brother can run for a long time. I did not get that at all. And so for training, I think it's been really vital to allow me to do the extra little bit and to help me get through a pole vault training session, which can be a couple of hours, a few hours, and then go into the gym and do a weightlifting session. And I've really noticed a huge improvement in the number of jumps that I can do in a training session. I used to be able to do probably about 15, maybe 10 to 15. And then once I started using the extreme endurance, I noticed that number went to 25 to 30, wow, which is almost getting a double training session.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's been really important, that one.
What products are you using consistently?
Right now, I use the Immune Boost, I use the Omega-3, I use the Extreme Endurance, I use the Joint 4, I use the Collagen Plus Greens now since it came out. I have probably 3 or 4 Hydro Sticks per day because I love them. They taste like Kool-Aid. And then I also use, before I have a training session, the Fuel 5. Before a competition, I'll use the Fuel 5 Plus just to give me a little bit extra. And then I'll also use the protein kind of when I need it, whether it's between a training session or at night or whatever it is. So pretty much everything.
You could have went with like a lot of different supplement companies. Like, why did you choose Xendurance?
Oh, because Xendurance is just very reliable, and I know exactly what it is that I'm consuming. I'm not worried about contamination. Everything's been laid out very clearly, and then on top of that, the team at Xendurance really cares so much about all their athletes and making sure that their products are fit for those athletes. And progression's super important too. I think Xendurance has come out with so many incredible products, even in the last year, that I'm really excited to see the growth, and I'm so excited to be a part of that too.
Yeah. Awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate that. What's been one of your favorite successes in life? It could be athletically, it could be personal. What comes to mind?
I think two come to mind. The first one is from in 10th grade, when I did successfully make the switch from gymnastics to pole vault. I feel as though it's very rare for somebody to go from one sport where they found so much success and get success fairly quickly in another sport and still have that kind of Olympic goal and dream. And so I don't take that for granted. And then I think the second one that is, I don't know, I guess it comes to mind. It was at my university, Western University. Both my parents went there, my brother went there, and there was this award that my dad had won. I think it was 40 years before I was in school. He won it's an award that they give out to an athlete who's contributed the most between their athletic accomplishments, their involvement with the university, and they don't have to give it out every year. And so as soon as I knew that I wanted to go to Western, I always wanted to win that award. And so finally, when I was in my senior year, both my parents were in attendance and my brother was there too, and I won the award. And it was just one of those moments where I just remember being so thankful that I was able to do something the same way as my dad did and have my parents be a part of it. It was just such a nice closure to my university career, and it was just so nice because I could share it with all of my closest family and friends, and there was something tangible that I could show my kids one day and show them that I did it kind of like my dad.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
You talk about your family and your parents and your brother a lot, and obviously we see that.
Yeah.
It pops up the question, do you have a mentor or someone that you look up to?
Yeah, I would definitely say that I look up to my whole family. I think that my brother actually has been super, super inspirational to me. Growing up, he was always the smallest kid playing football. He was, 5'6" in his junior year of high school. Senior year, he didn't really grow until after. And so many people kind of along the way said to him, "Are you sure football's your thing? You're so small, you can't see over the offensive line." There's so many things that contributed, and his commitment never wavered. And even when he went to Western at first, so many people were so critical of him, constantly comparing him to my dad and when he played. And my brother always just knew what he was capable of and never really let anybody's opinion determine his outcome. So I think I'm always inspired by his resilience and his commitment to competing at the level he knows he was capable of. And I've always looked up to my brother. And sure enough, I always say that my proudest moment over anything in my career was seeing my brother's first career start, and he put up the most points against a school in our conference in history. Put up 74 points against a school. We outscored them by almost 65 points.
Wow.
So yeah, that was a pretty special moment. So.
And he's a coach. He's a coach now?
Yes, now he's coaching quarterbacks and at University of Guelph, which was actually one of our competing schools. But it's been great. He's doing a great job over there, and I'm really happy for him.
Awesome. One other question on the professional side, things that you do. So you're also modeling. Yes. So what does that look like? I mean, how do you fit that in when you're full-time pole vaulting, and kind of seems like you're modeling full-time too?
So I signed with an agency, modeling agency, a little bit ago, and it's been really fun because it's allowed me to do something that's a little bit different than pole vault, and it's allowed me to tap into a little bit more creative, fun side that I have. It's not so intense as training, but it's also really great to fill my time in my off season. So I try and do as much as I can in the off season, and it's been really fun. I've gotten to do some cool stuff so far with it.
What's been like the coolest modeling thing you've done so far?
Oh gosh. Everything's been very different, but one of the most fun ones that I did was for Lululemon. It was in Canada, a Canadian brand that I've loved since I was in 6th or 7th grade. I still have my first pair of Lululemon tights, but I just loved seeing their growth from when they were so small to offering like 2 pairs of pants, and I never would have thought that I would do a campaign for them for these new running tights, and that was cool because I bridged the gap between, my track background and the
Yeah, they
modeling
made you
side.
run.
They did make me run. They did make me run. And the funny thing is that it wasn't a fast run. It was a slow run. And I had to do it for a really long time. And I remember thinking, like, oh, gosh, these people think I'm really in shape to be doing this. And I'm so not.
Like a sprint.
Yeah, so it was really fun. The team was super cool that I worked with. So I got to work with them again.
Awesome.
Are you going to jump indoor?
That's an interesting question. I'm not entirely sure. I think it depends on how quickly I progress. I like to think that I can progress quickly, but I'm all here for just following my coach's orders. So if he wants to compete indoors, I'll compete indoors.
I've never asked this. So since pole vault is pretty standard, like indoor, outdoor, can you qualify
No.
indoor for? Okay.
Unfortunately, no.
Because of the
You would think.
elements,
You would think, but I guess the wind does play a pretty
Right.
big part in it. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't qualify indoors. It really wouldn't make as much of a difference. It's
All
not
the
like.
pole vaulters are screaming at me right now.
Yeah.
That's okay. No, that's a really
you
fair
know?
question. That's a really fair question. I wonder that too. I wish we could qualify indoors, but we can't.
So you come from a beautiful place, Canada.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably traveled a lot of different places, but where's one place that's your favorite or one place that you'd want to go to?
Other than Toronto, I would say obviously I love being able to go back to Canada whenever I can, but I've always wanted to compete in Monaco and or the UK. I haven't competed in the UK. I think that would be really fun. The most interesting competition and surprising, I think, would have been when I competed in Kazan, Russia. I wasn't really picturing Russia the same way that it actually was. I kind of was picturing it as you see in the movies, kind of gray with like stray dogs and all of that kind of, like black and white, because they always show it like that. And when we went, it was so colorful and everybody was so kind and so friendly to all of the athletes who were competing at the Universiade. And I really had a great experience there while I was there, and the fans were super welcoming. So I'd actually really like to go back there to compete.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite pet? Do you have a pet?
I don't have a pet.
Did you grow up with pets?
No, sadly. Well, I had
Are you
a fish.
a dog or cat person? You had a fish.
I had a fish.
Talk
Her
about
name was
this.
Gloria, and my brother's was Sparky, and Sparky died, and then Gloria died right after. Like, they were best friends. They were fighter fish. My family traveled a lot.
Like Nemo?
Yeah, no,
Dory?
yeah, and
No, Dory
so
is the dad's name.
yeah, Sparky was my brother's. He was blue, and mine was Gloria, and she was purple. And Sparky, I remember, died, and my grandpa was visiting, and I was looking at the fish, and he was kind of floating there, and my grandpa was like, "Oh, he's sleeping." And
He's sleeping.
he's sleeping. Yeah, and then I remember my mom I think she just kind of came and was like, "Oh no, Sparky's lived his life," and she just kind of removed him, and I don't know where he went. Maybe he got flushed. I have no idea.
How did your fish get the name Gloria?
To be honest with you, my old gymnastics coach, his name was Lori, and it was the only kind of sound that I could think of, like Lori, Glory, and then Gloria was the female version of Glory.
It's a great song, too. It's a good
That's
80s,
funny.
80s song.
Yeah, I don't know. I was one of those kids that had stuffed animals. I had a little bunny and a pup. They're called, my little bunny stuffed animal was named Bunny, and my little dog stuffed animal was named Puppy. And I had a doll, and her name was Dolly. So I was never really great in the naming department. So maybe my kids will be named Daughter and Son, and maybe my third will be named Kid or something like that. So we don't know.
That's funny. Last question for me.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite food?
Chocolate. And
Or-
yes, it's a meal.
No. Okay, how about your last meal? What would your last meal be?
Gosh, chocolate. Stuff myself with chocolate till I can't eat anything else. No, I think
Speaking of that, you like to bake.
I
too.
do like to bake, And not the healthy kind either, the bad kind.
That's good.
That
Some
is
good.
The
home
bad kind.
baking.
Yeah. What's
Love
your
it.
favorite thing that you like to bake?
Cupcakes.
Oof,
Do you enjoy your own baking?
Yes, I do.
Well, some people like cook, but they don't like their own food.
I think I'm really critical of it because I can taste the tiniest little changes in it, but you know, I've always loved sprinkles. Sprinkles just make me happy no matter what time of day it is. So I love decorating cupcakes and I like putting sprinkles on them. I like baking cakes. I decorate cakes too. And they just make me happy. They're so cute, and like, who doesn't love a cupcake? Like, if someone gives you a cupcake, immediately you're in a good mood.
That's true.
Last question for me. So I always had workouts that gave me confidence going into like a competition. Is there a specific workout that you do that will give you confidence going into a competition where you hit the workout or you hit a certain strength cycle and you know, like, okay, I'm fit and I'm ready to go? Is there a specific workout or that you kind of like an indicator that you know that you're on point?
I think for me, before a competition, the best thing that I can do is get on the biggest pole that I've been on in practice. That just makes me, before the competition, be so confident thinking, okay, if I could get on this pole in practice, what can I do when I have some adrenaline? I'm on a fast runway. Most likely the wind will be at my back. It just makes me feel quite strong. I also always picture myself before I get on big poles like I'm like the Hulk. Because it just makes me think that I'm a truck and I can hit any stick that I go on, or stick, pole vault pole that I pick up. So those workouts make me super confident. And then usually we'll have a quick lift in the gym too. And there's a couple exercises that you can feel the poppiness in your ankles and your hips. And those always make me feel like, okay, I'm definitely ready. So yeah,
Awesome.
that'll be it.
Awesome. Thanks.
Well, thanks for joining us, Robin.
Thank you for having me.
You guys stay tuned for this podcast. It'll be coming out soon. And good luck on your
Thank
road
you.
to Tokyo.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.